And let's start with the October MER. Uh, as usual, I'll flip through the graphs. Angry, you just jump in whenever you want, as always, right? Um, the first graph is production, destruction, mining, and we are continuing to see the downward trend on production, although this time definitely has something to do with the goon move up, right? Angry. I mean, you guys will have produced a lot less than you
Yeah,
usually do, and
yeah.
you're a big chunk of the universe.
Because of the way that production works, right? We sort of um, there was sort of like a date on which we could produce. There was a soft date on how quickly we had to move because of the rig pull deadline. So
Hmm.
for those who don't know, October 29th was the last day where you could pull rigs from structures. So we needed to have everything moved before then because with the way things work is that because we wanted to move all of our rigs to the new home so we wouldn't lose any of them, and rigs are terrifyingly expensive if you know how much they
Yeah.
cost. So we had to shut down industry because so the longest day you can put in industry jobs is 30 days. So that gives us a rough amount to work with. Is that if you want to be absolutely safe and no one would lose their jobs, because if you pull the service module for a structure, all the jobs get canceled. So if you want to be absolutely sure, you had to stop your industry 30 days before you pull the structure. So that means for us, October, since October 29th is the last day, we uh essentially we told people to stop putting in jobs October, very early October. So that's why
Yeah.
we had our production drop by a lot. Only a handful of structures we kept open with the instructions for people to put in very short jobs. So when the rig pull day comes, like you don't have a 30-day job there waiting for stuff.
And the announcement was already in late September, right? Was it late September, early October? When was the announcement? Late
Uh,
September, I think.
uh, Announcement was October 5th that we were going to move.
Oh
So
yeah. Okay.
essentially on that day, most industry in Delft stopped. and and uh and the other thing is once you transfer solve, right, it breaks you can't upgrade anymore for 35 days. So once we transferred solve to brave starting in the middle of October, all the upgrades went down, and without upgrades it's a lot harder to PvE as well. So like even people who stayed longer in delve and didn't move very quickly, they found that a lot of the space lost their upgrades and wasn't as good to PvE in anymore.
Based on that, it's quite surprising that it didn't drip more, right? If you think that in some way Brave and the Imperium both were impacted, then I would have expected this production value to drop a lot more. But I guess, you know, it's a part of the
Yeah, we're
universe,
only a
but not
part of the
yeah.
universe, not most of it, despite what people might think.
Well, you're a very large part. We'll see that we'll see that in the active S
Sort of,
delta in a
yeah,
second
you
here.
can sort of see that you have destruction dropping and you have production dropping. Sorry, you have mining dropping and you have production dropping, but destruction actually rose a bit because when you move that much stuff through space, you're bound to lose some of it.
True.
We'll see that
They
later
were
on.
both already in decline before, but yeah, absolutely. If we're looking at the economic indicators, we'll get into more details then. But in here, you can already see if I zoom in a little bit and you look at Delve, the number we're going to be looking at here a lot is the exports. So we had 619 trillion in exports um, from Delve, and then only 176 trillion imports. I'm guessing the exports is largely goons, and the imports is Brave already.
That's one. I think that's one part of it. So if you look at the sort of the flow of stuff, you have Brave going from Aquarius
Hmm.
to Delve. You have Goons going through Aquarius to catch in Tenerifis, and then you have DC going uh from Aquarius to period basis and delve. So it's like a what was the name of the dance that Europeans not the quadrille or something like that. I learned in AP Euro.
All right. Yeah.
People
No.
people switch partners with through the dance and
Oh
stuff.
God. Oh God. I'm the wrong person to ask. But yeah, it's like it's musical chairs, as somebody chat says. That's not the dance, but yeah, that's kind of how it is for sure. I'm pulling up the dotland map here in on the stream just to kind of see, Delve going to Quirius, going to Catch, and then Brave coming down into Delve. Yeah. Yeah, but we'll see those graphs later on, and I know for those of you that are interested, I'll post the link to the Reddit post in the chat here, where it's a post from Drake, but Angry posted a comment on there where he has a table that shows the exports and imports for each of those regions that were impacted by the move. Thanks for doing that. I think that's the very effective way to communicate, Angry, and I hope you're going to keep on doing that after CSM.
Yeah, well, that's what got me on the CSM in the first place. So will the MER capture the import export for each region along the path? Yes, that it does.
Mhm.
So if something goes from Delve to Aquarius to catch Tenerife's, it would be counted as exporting Delve, importing Aquarius, exporting Aquarius, importing catch, exporting catch, and then importing Tenerife's.
Yeah, for sure. Asteroid ore mined over time. Again, this is volume, not market value, but it's clearly, it's been going down, and a lot of that has to do with Equinox, right? Until we see some changes there, I don't think we're going to see the mining value going back up. Although, what's the situation like in Tenerife's for the Imperium? Angry, is it better mining grounds, or is it basically the same issues because of Equinox?
It's same issues as Equinox, but there's just more space.
Mhm.
So it's Tenerife itself is not as good as Delve, but the thing is we own more than Tenerife is now.
Yeah. Gas is where you see the impact of the Equinox expansion the most.
The
I,
least.
I I don't. Well, the
That's
least. Well, it's not
that's
the
not
Equinox
the
expansion. It was the. Was it right before or right after we had the?
it was
We
the
had null
net.
gas leaving
No,
blueprints. So
it was the net resonator change.
yeah, which wasn't that part of Equinox? No, was it
That
after?
was I think that was.
Yeah.
Let me
Well,
check when that.
it's around. It's
Oh,
around
it's
June.
around the same. Yeah, it's around that time.
Yeah, and
It's
so
not Equinox Solve related, but it came out in the same patch. Yeah.
yeah, which is also kind of like the new expansion, just a patch. So we have the gas volume dropping because it's used much less in the economy now. That's basically it. And since then, it's been fairly stable.
Mm-hmm.
And then ice mined was fairly stable. You guys contributed to ice prices exploding, so I think it became much more profitable to mine. So that's I'm guessing why we are seeing more of it in the last 2 months, but that's probably a temporary thing.
Yep. Prices are
And
already going back now.
yeah, and the moon ore does not include metanox, and so
No,
obviously there's a lot less now.
yeah, we've been bugging CCP about that, and they just haven't had the bandwidth to put it into the MER.
Yeah. And yeah, since CCP estimate is gone, which is a pity, but he was my go-to guy for the MER to ping him about things, and I need to I need to get talking to whoever is doing it now. Yeah, so lot less moon ore because the rest is done with Metanox. Although this is probably going to go up a bit again because we've seen 2 passes at making Metanox mining more expensive and so reducing the profitability of it. So probably this is going to recover a little bit, is what I would expect.
Maybe, maybe not, but remember that after all the balance changes, like Metanox still costs about the same to run because the supply of magmatic gas got increased by quite a lot.
That's right. That's right. So we'll stay tuned and see what happens there. Although in the long run, I think it's clear that if CCP is already patching the Metanox moon drills, then they intend for them to be less profitable as they are. That's how I would interpret a change like that. And so, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's pretty clear they intend to not completely wipe out R8 and R4 moon mining like they are right now.
which is the right and it is the right intent, if you ask me, because I mean, uh, passive moon mining, like I get why it's important for null alliances. However, there's an entire play style that you don't want to kill off along the way, right? And so you've got to you've got to find a way to do both somehow.
Yeah.
Pochven had the most destruction. Um, there was some big fights in October in Pochven, right? I think.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah, supposedly. um, Veil of the Silent has the highest mining. That's Frat, and then followed by Fountain. That's in it. Peregrine
Yep.
Falls on
Goals was
3.
just horde.
And NPC bounties, the same exact thing. So mining and ratting both a lot. The 1, 2, and 3 because Delve was not happening in October, or not as much
Hmm.
because of the move. Production the same. Although Delve, hey, you guys still made 3rd. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. Well, with the few structures we had left, the thing about um, production, right, is that for most things, it compresses. So we ended up making quite a bit of stuff just to compress the minerals we had refined in Delve.
Right. Okay. That's still a lot. It's still a lot for a move up month. And here's the trade balance. The trade balance is this is what bugs me angry. There's a mistake here in the the description. The description says total value of ships and items entering the region
Right. It's
subtracted
the
by the value.
reverse.
It's the other way around. Like
Yeah.
and it's been like that forever.
Yeah.
I told Estimate like a year ago, but yeah. No, I told him at the
Uh,
CSM summit in February. Yeah, February.
yeah.
So
And I also figured out from our move ops that this does not count ship holes. As in,
that's
like, it
good
does
for
not
you,
count.
huh? That's
Yeah.
convenient.
So they
Yeah.
never. So they can't proxy how big our super fleet is just from the MER, which was like my big complaint earlier.
I mean, admit it. You guys got your you guys used your CCP connections again to
No, no. I mean, I'm like,
favorably impact this.
turns out it was always like this,
But this
but this
is
month I got
yeah.
confirmation that this does not include the hauls. You're using to haul stuff out. Uh, so this is only stuff in cargo, stuff in ship maintenance bays, and stuff in fleet hangars.
Which if you look at it from an economic perspective, like it makes sense, right? Because importing and exporting is not supposed to it's really not supposed to track move ups. It's not there to track move ups. It's really like
You're right,
the
because like
reason you're tracking move ups is just because you're using it as an intel tool, but it's not supposed to be that.
right, and the other thing is like if it because if it did like probably over like it would all be jump freighters. You wouldn't be tracking the value of trade. You'd be tracking how many jump freighters went through a thing because jump freighters are so damn expensive compared to the cargo they haul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So good on you that we can't track that, but still, it's a big chunk of wealth that is moving across the galaxy for sure. What do we have here? This was just trade balance, same thing. Oh, volume. This is volume compared to ISK, which is not as interesting. Market trades is the same as always. And then net imports and exports. This is this you can see here the track. You see catch down here, you see curious up there, and then delve is up there. Yeah. Imports, exports, 440 is the net without the ships. It's not really all that interesting. Now let's go to my favorite graph, which is sinks and faucets. And I want to zoom a little bit because this is the money supply in EVE Online again, for those of you that don't look at this MER a lot. So 2,200 trillion was the beginning of the month money supply. We've added 170 trillion in faucets. Now, Matt, who usually is always very quick with the Power BI, Matt hasn't updated the Power BI, right? But if we look at ISK, sinks, and faucets for last month, you can see, let's look at only faucets. You can see, oh, there we go. Matt updated this while I'm streaming. Amazing. Thank you, Matt. So you see here 170. Oh, wait, you guys can't see that. Let me see. Let me actually zoom out so you can see that. There we go. 170 is pretty much the same as the month before. So there's the same amount of ISK coming into the game economy through faucets, but if you look at the sinks, they're at 95. Now let's compare that. If you look at only the sinks, they're also the same, but they're at a very, very low level because from its highest level in June, where it was very healthy, we had the sales tax halved, and that's why since then we've been losing about 15 trillion, I think, to that. And we're now at a more stable rate that is under 100 trillion. So if you're adding 170 trillion every month and then you're subtracting only 100 trillion, then you're going to have a lot more ISK in the game every month. And you can actually see that in the money supply graph that we're going to look at in a second here. That alone is a little bit worrisome. We do have the Pochven quote unquote nerf, at least nerf from an ISK perspective. So that's a positive change into that direction. But the big problem that is adding a lot of ISK.
Pochven and wormholes. Wormholes is not insignificant.
No, that's
5
right.
trillion got chopped off from wormholes. Yeah.
That was also 4 months ago. And now this month, though, what we have is a humongous active ISK delta. And I think we all know why that is, Angry. Why is there such a big active ISK delta?
It's people coming back for the move.
That's right. You guys have a... I heard you even got an email, Angry. Do you want to tell us about that email? What happened there?
Yeah, that was pretty stupid in that CCP sent an email for people to come back for the move op, which is it's good they want more stuff, I guess, for marketing, but it's not like I don't know. I don't think it's the level of interference the sandbox that CCP should be doing, so to speak.
No, I don't either. So for those of you that didn't know, when we all got an email about what everyone else got an email about something else, but then Goons actually got an email that said, hey, guess what, you're moving, make sure you log back in. And obviously for CCP it's a good business move because they get people to resub, as you can see from this 55 trillion active ISK delta of people returning to the game. But it's arguably an interference into the game, the sandbox, as Angry says. That is, it's probably overreaching. Like if they had asked me, is that a good idea? I would have told them, oh God, no, don't do that. But somebody had a good idea or a terrible idea at CCP. Anyway, so 55 trillion is mostly goons logging back in, and it's going to be interesting to see what that number now does in November, because typically expansion months is right here, is when the activist delta is really large. So we're going to have an expansion on top of a move up, and that means that the money supply is going to be rising rather quickly. Like I'll show you guys here. Like, look, this is the money supply in EVE Online. So this is the total ISK available to all active characters, split into characters and corporations. And you can see here that this has been, it was rising rather steadily, as it is in most game economies, but then in 2023 it started just rising sharply. And a lot of this has to do with wormholes and Podchven being fairly unchecked ISK faucets for a long time, and CCP reacting quite slowly, in my opinion, to those ISK faucets. But hey, we have wormholes taken care of, and now we also have a change to Podchven for the positive, I think, in the next expansion that is hitting next Tuesday.
And home front sites.
And home front sites. That's right.
If that hasn't been addressed yet, yeah.
Overall, you can see here sleeper components. You can see these are the ISK faucets over time. You can see the impact of the wormhole change here, dropping down. Everything else is rather steady. Triglavian data is down as well. That's quite interesting. You can see fewer people running abyssals, which I think sandbox enthusiasts like, because it's less people in instant content. But if you're like me, you love that instant content, not because it's instant, but just because it's really good content. And then here on this graph, you can see the impact of what having the sales tax does. So this was always the biggest sink in EVE Online, and you have the sales tax in July, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're missing this big sink, and that's what, if you have all of this way positive and not enough counter balance on the faucet side, on the sink side, then that's what happens. All right. So Jado in chat is saying 55 trillion active ISK, probably 70% average in hard assets. That would have been huge sink into assets. No, it's only ISK. It's only ISK. This is not assets. Velocity. I mean, I hate talking about this anymore, because it's just it's bad. It's pretty bad. The economy is very stagnant. And even though low ISK velocity is good to keep inflation in check, at least in the real world, here it's not a good thing. You can see a lot of stagnant wealth in EVE Online, and that's never a good look. This is batshit crazy. The mineral index you see up here. So this is a chained less pay. I don't know. Supposedly, according to Wikipedia, this guy is German, right?
Yeah, but it's not chained. At least from what our experiment is, we couldn't recreate this with a proper chained index. So this is an unchained index.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, essentially they take a basket of basic minerals, and presumably they adjust the quantity in the basket to be fairly equal in the beginning, right? I don't think they take 1 unit of each, which wouldn't make any sense. And then they compare it to the starting point, which is 2004. And so you can see here that the basic mineral prices over time, they were always kind of, hovering between 80 and 130 or so. And now, ever since mostly scarcity, we have very, very high mineral prices. Now it's worse now, because now we have 2 or 3 that are just clearly bottlenecked, And now we even have, in addition to previous bottlenecks like Isogen or Megasite, we now also have an issue with Maxilon because there's not enough being generated by the active moon mining, and the passive moon mining doesn't inject enough into the system, or not at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
Not at all. And so we just have, you know, uh, just very, very high mineral prices, which, to be fair, Angry, I mean, it it doesn't have a lot of impact on T2 or faction ships, right? This is
No, it's mainly
basic minerals is all
capitals.
tier ones, but
Yeah.
capital ships are impacted.
Capital, yes, Tech One and capitals. And at least from what I know of how they calculate this index, it's based on the market cap of the item. So the bigger the item's market cap, the more impact it has within the sub index. So the MPI is made of the um, market cap of all Tech One minerals, and then it's weighted based on the sub.
But
So
then, is it
sorry,
reweighted every month?
it is re. I believe
It would have to
it
be.
is reweight. Yeah, it is reweighted every month.
Which is, I don't know if I would agree. Like, if that is true, then I don't know if I agree with that, because I feel like so many things, like a what makes mineral prices spike is bottlenecking, and so you have such huge changes in the trade volume from one period to the next, that I don't know if that's, accurate. But any way you calculate it, an MPI of around 260 is has a very, very clear message, and that is minerals are really expensive in EVE Online right now.
Yeah, I would
Ironically,
agree.
I mean, this should mean, Angry, that mining them is is super profitable right now, but still
Well,
that is not the case, right? Why is that?
well, it is. It is. Mining minerals is super profitable in wormholes and low sec, but the thing is, like, the labor pool to do that doesn't exist, which is why minerals are expensive.
Because everyone's a nullsec, majority of people.
Well, the majority of miners are in null sec. Like, I would say that's the majority of miners are in
Yeah,
null sec and high sec, and the
higher
low sec.
proportion of PvP
Yeah.
people in low sec and wormholes, absolutely. Adam Jedi is saying in chat, T2 ships need a T1 hull. While that is true, it is a negligible quantity compared to the overall pricing of a tier 2 ship. So if you look at the inputs based on market value, Moon Goo outstrips basic minerals by a multitude for tier
Yeah.
2
So
ships.
for like for example, for a hound, like a bomber, it's 300K ISK for the T1 hull and 15 million for everything else.
Yeah. And that is why you see exploding mineral price indices, while everything else is staying more or less the same, because right now you have very expensive minerals, but you have very, very cheap moon goo right now. And so that will mean tier 2 ships are cheaper rather than more expensive currently. Yeah, this is the composition, yada yada yada. This is the graph they added last year, which, I think is a propaganda graph to show that high mineral prices don't necessarily mean high finished product prices, but, you know. And
I
then,
mean,
yeah,
it's not necessarily propaganda because, again, as we said, there are lots of things that have gotten cheaper. Like LP has gotten
yeah.
cheaper. At least if you're not Concord, Moongu has gotten cheaper and stuff like that.
So the mineral price index is not really indicative of the price level of most products in EVE Online. I mean, that's just the case, but it is an issue, and it's a big issue for capitals and for some capitals, non-faction capitals,
And
super capitals, right?
and Tech One, like it does
Tech One
affect the
battleships, for example.
Tech One battleships and Tech
Yeah,
One battle cruisers.
yeah. So, which are the more expendable large fleet ships as well, right? Because
Yeah,
they're
more
lots of
accessible and
bang for
more.
the buck. Yeah.
Well, they're supposed to be bang for the buck, but they're not
Yeah, and they're
because
not now exactly, but they're that's a missing hole now. Basically, that's a missing section of ships. Um, this is just a wormhole. So this 10 trillion used to be 20 trillion right here out of C5, C6 wormholes. So yeah, that's down a lot. Okay, and that's it. Let's jump into your graphs. What did you bring for us? I'm looking at the trade M3 graph, and this is the tracking through the regions. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Angry?
it's basically the same information. I thought I made it a bit easier to read where the green shows the net, and on the left or the right means it's the net positive or net negative, and it's just showing the regions where the most net traffic happened.
Right. And so
So it's
Delft
sort of
as
yeah,
origin, Tenerife as the destination, and then queries and catch as pass throughs. And
yeah.
queries both, right? You guys were living queries as well? No? Yes?
Not really. It was mainly
Okay.
Brave living in Aquarius.
Okay. So queries just got double whammied by ins and outs.
Yeah.
This is
And
the
what you can
second
see
graph.
here is that the move up's not quite done because there's still a lot of stuff in catch. The volume in catch is very high, but you can see there's it's still a net importer, which means that at the end of October, the move up only um is about half done. In that half the stuff is landed in Tenerife, half the stuff is still in catch. So I'm guessing in the November MER you'll see most of that catch stuff move into Tenerife.
Yeah. And then we have ISK lost by year, quarter, and month.
So this is can you zoom? Yeah, this is a bit
Yeah.
hard to read because it's small.
There you go.
But if you want to zoom in a little, um, so we did a lot of prep for this move because we thought that like move ops are incredibly vulnerable because they're in freighters and jump freighters and stuff that is fragile and can't really shoot back, and if you catch them, they're dead. So we had a bunch of contingencies in preparation to protect our stuff as they move through the regional gate. Because if you ever gated freighters outside of high stack, you know it's a very butt puckering experience. Um, because freighters are just so vulnerable on gates. And as it turns out, and we thought, a gallon of sweat saves a river of blood, and then it turns out like Ham didn't really try to stop us. So like, yeah, we lost some stuff from people moving around and stuff, and I'll give you some other numbers that you may find interesting in a bit. But really, like this is yeah, we lost some stuff, but it's not that much more stuff than we normally lose in a month. So you see, like the
That's
normal background losses for Delve and Aquarius is like 2.8 trillion, from just PVE and stuff like that. And this month we lost 3.5, which is more, but it's not like that much more. And then I'll read off some numbers from the kill dump, which is that this month we lost 1,584 ventures, most because they're used for industrial sinos. And we also lost 394 falcons, same purpose, 280 Arazus, and 180 rapiers, along with, let me check sigil, because I know we used a bunch of sigils, 500 sigils. That assures you how many sinos we lit, and
Mhm.
because sino ships are locked in place the moment they light, they tend to die a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a massive move up for sure. And then we have the different types mined. Here you're just saying it's less because of the move up and
Well,
moon.
no, this is not just us. This is all of nullsec.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
this has an impact. But most of this is also
The bigger impact
no
I think
active
is
moon mining.
from Metnox, because you can see that
Yeah.
July was the last month where um active moons where I guess relatively unaffected. But yeah, after that, you can really see Metnox is eating the lunch of Athenors.
Yeah. And then
That's for
what's
lowsec.
oh, this is just
Same,
lowsec. This
yeah, same
was
story.
all, and this is just lowsec. Okay. Yeah.
So the yeah, so same story.
Yeah. Impact a bit less, I think, in lowsec than everywhere else. Um. Okay. Oh, here we go.
This is another one
Hey.
I made for for our friend Mark Resurrectus, who
Yeah.
loves Marauders, and it seems like the Marauder scourge and wormholes is finally under control to an extent.
It's about to get more controlled if you look at the patch notes.
Yep.
So for those of you that don't know, the new patch notes, which we'll look at in a second here, they contain more Marauder nerfs, especially the Vargur. I think is getting the biggest nerf hammer. Right? Carriers. What happened here?
I think there was. I'm not sure. Maybe there was a fight in low sec that involved a
Yeah.
lot of carriers, but I don't. I would have to. Sorry, in wormholes. So I'd
Yeah.
have to ask someone.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. All right.
That's all I
Anything
got.
else, Angry?
That's all I got.
Cool. Well, thanks as always for joining me here on stream. I'll see you next month, hopefully.
Yeah. See ya.
Even if you're not on the CSM anymore, I hope you still come on my stream.
Hmm.
All right.